Good afternoon.
Afternoon.
How are you? How was your drive?
Pretty good. It was fairly short.
Well, that's good. Alright, so you're here for the interview of occupational therapist.
Yep.
Just tell me a little bit about yourself.
Well, I grew up in a small town and kind of in the middle of nowhere, Iowa. It was a farming community, and I grew up with helping one of my grandpas in the field. I would ride around in the tractor or go out in the combine. My sister and I, we would always be, whenever we got home to Grandma's after school, it would be, Grandma, can we go out and ride in the field with Grandpa? And it was a small high school, so I got to participate in 4 sports a year, along with speech and play. I did 4-H and county council, and I was also active in my youth group.
That's fascinating. Alright, how do you learn best?
I believe that I learn best when I can have it explained to me. It doesn't actually have to be like, okay, do this step by step. Well, it helps me, but if I can just have it explained and kind of see it playing out in front of me, it just helps me to figure out how I'm supposed to do it.
Alright, that sounds good. Can you provide any examples of how you've motivated others since you're going to be working with people?
Well, when I was in high school, I was captain of the volleyball team and of the basketball team, and so there was a lot of, hey guys, you gotta pick this up, you gotta do this better, you gotta get your feet there faster, or even just keep your head up, you're doing fine, don't get down on yourself. It was just a lot of kind of basic encouragement, but it might have helped more than is visibly seen.
Alright, that sounds good. You are paid to work 8 to 5. There's no way to complete your current project by 5 p.m. What do you do, or how do you handle this, and what do you do to handle this?
Well, if it's a really important project that has to be done, like if I'm working in the middle of working with a client and they just can't figure out an exercise, I'll stay longer and I'll help them until they get it. And if it's something that can be done the next day, I might, depending on how I'm feeling, just put it off and come back early the next day and finish it, or if I'm close to done, I'll just finish it.
Alright, that's excellent. How are you with money, numbers, or problem solving?
I'm pretty good with money and numbers because I was always good at math, and then through 4-H, we had to keep financial records of everything we did. And so, like with my sheep, I had to keep track of how much they cost us to, like when they sold them, how much the wool sold for, how much feed costs, and things like that. And then with just being smart about it, like through college and having to figure out, okay, this is what I need to do to stay out of debt as much as possible.
Alright, you talked about it earlier a little bit when you were talking about your home life when you were younger, but what are your favorite hobbies, like as a kid and now, like outside of work, and how can you transfer these to this job?
When I was little, I always loved to go help my grandpa, so I loved helping, and it was just like, okay, helping is something that appeals to me. And then as I got older, my hobbies and my interests always seemed to revolve around helping people, because in high school I would go on mission trips every summer, and we would go to different communities and we would help them. We would either paint houses or clean up yards or do a kids club, which is a lesson in games and crafts. And then in college I still tried to do some of that stuff, like in the summer break, I would try and go on those mission trips with my church still, and I would see what other opportunities there were to get involved and help. And I think all of that experience with working with both little kids, adults, and teenagers my own age helps me to be able to understand people and what motivates each different age group.
That sounds incredible. How do you deal with somebody when they're annoying you? Like, if you were in work and somebody was bothering you in your work or pestering you while you were in the middle of therapy, how would you deal with it?
Well, Well, at first I would just tell them, okay, this is what you do. If they're asking a question, it's like, okay, you do it this way, and explain it to them. If it's questions that have nothing to do with work, I would say, hey, can it wait till I'm done with this client, or I'm done with this paperwork, and just have them wait until it was not interrupting something I was doing. And if it was becoming a major issue, I might tell them, hey, you're distracting, can you please stop? Or if it doesn't stop and I feel it's detrimental to my clients or to the company as a whole, I might say, go to a supervisor and say, hey, they won't stop and let me do a thorough job, can you talk to them?
That's a good way of handling it. So what made you choose this career? Because physical therapy is somewhat similar. What made you decide not to do that and do this instead?
Well, I've always wanted a career with helping people, and at first I did think physical therapy, and then I went to a college that had the occupational therapy program, and they said it's pretty much the same thing, but the occupational therapy is a little more psychological, and so I chose that because my psychology classes always appealed to me. So I thought, okay, this involves another field that kind of interests me, and it's not as risky of hurting somebody, because in physical therapy, if you don't tell them the exercise correctly or you don't monitor them closely enough, they can end up hurting themselves more or not strengthening their muscles as much as they need to, whereas in occupational therapy it's a little more lenient, and you have, depending on what they're working with, a little less chance of helping them, like getting them hurt.
That's a very good reason for why you wouldn't want to do that. I worked as a physical therapist, so I know that if you are not careful with it, you can get in a lot of trouble, so your reasoning is perfect for that. What's the most difficult decision you've made, and how did you come to that decision?
The most difficult decision I made was what to do and where to go in college, because there are so many different options and for careers that help people and colleges with those careers. So I narrowed it down to what I wanted to do, and then I looked at those colleges and said, okay, this one has the best program, the best campus, the easiest cost, and things that would help me learn better against schools that had the program, but they wouldn't necessarily be as helpful to my learning.
Alright, that sounds good. I have 2 or 3 questions left for you. Who's your role model, and why are they your role model?
I would say my role model is my grandmother on my mother's side, because she did a lot of babysitting, so she knew how to handle multiple little kids, multiple people, and how to give in enough without spoiling. And she was strong in her faith, so she taught us to rely on somebody or something besides ourselves, and that no matter what, we're not alone. And she just showed me how to be a good person in general.
She sounds like she would have been an excellent occupational therapist. If you could describe yourself in 3 words, what would they be?
I would say I am loyal, responsible, and hardworking, because when there's something I believe in, I don't give up on it easily. I work for it, and I defend my beliefs, and people, like specific people, I don't give up on them because they made one mistake. Like when I was a junior, I went on a mission trip, and I met a teen my age, and he was struggling through issues with depression, and he didn't want me to help him. He didn't want me to be there for him. He tried to push me away, and I could see that he was hurting, and he really did need that help. So even though he didn't necessarily want me there for him, I was still there for him. And I'm responsible with my time and with my tasks. I always get done what needs to be done, and I work hard to complete what I need to.
That sounds great. Alright, This is the last question. Alright. Tell me about a time when you failed at something you tried and what you learned from that experience.
When I was in high school, I played softball, and I tried my 8th grade year to play first base because that's where my coach wanted me, because we didn't have a first baseman. And I tried, and it just felt like I couldn't get it, and like everybody was mad that I couldn't get it. But I kind of realized as I went on, like my coach, especially when he's saying he's mad, that's just the way he teaches. He had more of a stern voice, and that he really did think I was improving. And to improve upon my skills, I just kept working at it, and I didn't give up, and I didn't let the negative comments get to me.
Alright, that sounds good. That's it for me. Do you have any questions for me?
Yes, what is the typical day? Like, do you work more with little kids or teens or adults?
Usually it would be adults, because kids, don't really need occupational therapy right off the bat, because they don't get down or into depression, or really, they can get hurt as easily, but usually that's physical therapy, of course. Teenagers can be depressing. They can be depressed. They can, have feelings that are very showable and need to be dealt with therapy. And adults are the most common, because they have a lot of problems with taxes and with money problems, and they come in with the occupational therapist and get worked with, and usually we let them go after about a month or two working with them if they seem to be doing fine. Alright, thank you.
Thank
for
you.
coming. Have a nice drive home.
You too.
Bye.